Good morning. We'll start with this question. We have a bank has two accounts. First offers 7% per annum simple interest and the second offers 7% per annum compound interest. Bhumi deposits rupees 100 in each account. Find the money she will have in each account after 6 months, 1 year and 2 years. Okay, so let's calculate for simple interest first. So for simple interest, we'll say after 6 months, yes. Could you repeat? I could not hear you. Okay. Okay. So I was mute, so I'm sorry. We just read the question and we are saying that for simple interest for 6 months, we'll have 100 1 plus I. Okay, so I'll just write I into 6 months. 6 months in terms of years would be 0.5. It's going to be very important that the rate of interest and the rate of interest and the time is in the same units. So per annum, that means we are talking about time in years. Okay, so clearly you can say 100 into bracket 1 plus 0.07 into 0.5. So we'll have 103.5. Then I'll just solve the second part here itself, 1 year. So amount that I will have after 1 year, it's just 1 plus I into 1. That would be 107. And then 2 years, one plus I into 2, that would be 100 into bracket 1 plus 0.07 into 2, and that is 114. For simple interest, you can clearly see that in 1 year we are supposed to get 7 rupees as interest. So in half a year we will get 3.5, and in 2 years we will get 14. It's very simple, right? But in compound, not so much. In compound, if you're talking about 6 months, we'll say it is 100 into 1 plus I raised to, again write it in years, so 0.5. 100 into 1 plus I is 1.07, and then raised to 0.5. Okay, I've written 0.05. 0.5 1 year, it's going to be exactly same as simple interest. Then 2 years, again I am going to use the calculator. It's very important that you observe. For simple interest in 6 months we got 103.5, whereas in compound interest we got 103.44. Okay. Rushil, you are asking why in 6 months case it is not the same, because in compound interest we are compounding. Okay, even though we are compounding once a year, it affects values before 1 year as well. Okay, you will understand that when we are talking about compounding more than once a year. Okay, so what happens is, even though we are saying we are compounding once a year, it affects the values before 1 year as well. Okay, what happens is, here the compounding is comparatively on a lesser amount compared to what we are compounding here. Okay, so mathematically I can give you 1,000 reasons, but logically there's not much reason. Okay, so if time is less than 1 year, then simple interest will be more than compound interest. That means the amount of simple interest will be more than compound interest. If time is 1 year, the simple interest is exactly same as the compound interest, and if time is greater than 1 year, simple interest is less than compound interest. Very simple. Okay, now sometimes people mention this as the reason why we use simple interest for small durations, but that is not correct. We talked about it yesterday, right? We even wrote it somewhere, that we use compound interest because compound interest is consistent, and we use simple interest because simple interest is easy to calculate and does not have large difference for small amounts in small time periods compared to compound interest. Okay, so simple interest is just used because it is easy to calculate, and for small amounts in small time periods it does not make a big difference compared to compound interest. That's the reason why we use simple interest even today, not because it is giving me more interest or it is giving me less interest, right? We talked about it yesterday that the interest will not matter, because if somebody is borrowing money, this other person is lending money. Okay, so both will have a conflict. I will use simple or I will use compound. That is not how it would work, right? Okay. Okay, so now from this point, I think everybody understands the simple interest, compound interest basics at least, right? From this point, we will be talking about the notations that we are going to use. Now, the first thing that is very important is present value. The terms and the notations that we are going to use. Present value. Okay. What's a present value? Now, to simply explain the time value of money at any given point in time will be called as its present value. At that time. Okay, so the time value of money at any given point in time will be called as its present value at that time. So simply, let's say if I invest 100 rupees today, let's say that you all join S.MONK and I receive a salary because of that 100 rupees as salary. I invest that 100 rupees salary today in the bank account, that is giving me some percentage of rate of interest. Let's say I is 10%, or we'll not just write percentage for now. Let's just say I compound interest. Okay, it can be simple, it can be compound, but we know we usually use compound, so we'll talk about compound interest. So after 1 year, how much money will I have in my bank account? So we know it's going to be 100 into 1 plus I. After 2 years, I'll have 100 into 1 plus I square. After 3 years, I will have 100 into 1 plus I cube. Right? This is the amount of money that I will have in my bank account. I will call this as present value at time 1. Okay. I'll write it properly. I'll say it is present value at time 1. This is present value at time 2. And this is present value at time 3. And we'll call this as present value because time 0 is right now. So if I don't mention the time, present value means it is today's value right now, time 0. Okay. So this is how we represent present value. It's the time value at any given point in time. Okay. Now a simple question. I would like you all to think about it and answer. So if I got this salary today, this 100 rupees I received today, can you tell me what would be the value 1 year ago? What will be the value of that money 1 year ago? I received the salary today of 100 rupees. What is its value 1 year ago? Will it have a value 1 year ago? Can you answer that? Will it have a value 1 year ago? Salary I received today, will it have a value 1 year ago? I would like everybody to answer. So if I receive the salary today, will it have a value 1 year ago? Now technically you will say the money was received today, so how would I have a value 1 year ago? But I'll give you 2 reasons for it having a value 1 year ago, and it will actually have a value 1 year ago. Okay. First of all, in finance, we'll always assume that only money is earning us money. Okay. We will not be assuming that services are giving you money. Okay. Because finally we are talking about value. It's not about money. It's about the value that we are talking about. Okay. So when I give you services and you pay, my salary out of it, what is happening here is I'm giving you value and you are giving me value back. Right? In different forms. I'm giving you value as my services, as knowledge, and you are giving me value as money. But it is again a value. Okay. If I have to put a monetary value, so let's say I give you knowledge for 1 year and then you pay my salary. So at time 0, you are paying me salary, but 1 year of knowledge still has some value to you, and that is why you are paying money to me. Okay. Right? So we will never assume that money given today has no value before today. It may be in some other form. Okay. It may be in some other form as goods, or as services, right? So we will assume that there was value even before this money was actually given. And in finance, see, this might be a little bit complicated for us to imagine, but just remember, in finance we'll always say money is earning us more money. That means if I'm earning 100 rupees today, I must have invested some money 1 year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, or maybe at minus infinity. Some time before today, I must have invested some money that is giving me money 100 rupees today. Okay. So this 100 rupees I received today only because I had certain money invested before. So how much value will it be? So you can see here I am multiplying by 100 as I am going further, multiplying by 1 plus I as I am going further. So if I am going back, I will divide by 1 plus I. At time minus 2, it will be 100 upon 1 plus I square, 100 upon 1 plus I cube. Okay. So we'll divide by that money. So I can find present value at any given point in time, irrespective of whether that money was present at that time or not. Because as we talked about yesterday, money is not the physical note that we have. It is just a concept of valuing goods and services. So even if money did not exist at that time, does not mean it was not in form of some other value. Okay. So this I can write it as present value at time minus 1. Similarly, present value at time minus 2 and present value at time minus 3. Okay. So present value is nothing but the time value of money at any given point in time. Now what happens is it's going to be confusing because we are always talking about two times. One would be today or whatever, one will be a time before and one would be a time after. So usually we use present value and future value. Okay. There is no technical term as future value, but we use it because it's easy for us to understand. We'll say value at a future date. Time value at future date would be called as future value. So for simple interest, we say future value at time t is going to be present value into 1 plus it. This is how we write it. And similarly for compound interest, we'll say future value at time n, and write it as present value into 1 plus I raised to n. So this is how we use the terms future value and present value. If I'm not mentioning the time in present value, I mean it is present value at time 0. Is that clear? Technically, present value just is time value at any given point in time. But for what do we say? For any understanding, for any sums, we use future value and present value. Next, we are going to learn accumulation factor. Okay. Now, the term future value that I have written here, time value at any future date, we also call it as accumulated value, because we are going to assume I invest certain amount today and how much will I get after n number of years. That becomes my future value or accumulated value. Accumulation just means gathering. Okay. So how much value have I gathered in that time? So accumulated value will be nothing but present value into, we call, accumulation factor. Okay. So accumulation factor is nothing but the accumulated value per money invested in present value, or in time 0, or at whatever time we are talking about. Okay. So it is the factor by which the present value will change due to time. Okay. It is a factor by which present value will change. So accumulation factor helps us understand whether it is becoming 1.2 times, 1.5 times, or 2 times, or 5 times, whatever it might be. Okay. So money is doubling. Whenever I say the money has doubled, so the double part, that is into 2, just means that 2 is accumulation factor. So if I invested 100 rupees, doubling means it will be 200. If I invest 2000 rupees, doubling means it will be 4000, right? So we understand, irrespective of how much did I invest, we understand the value if I just say the money has doubled. So that times 2 becomes nothing but the accumulation factor. By what factor has the money increased? Okay. So that is accumulation factor. So at any point, I'll say future value is nothing but present value into a, let's say this is at time 0 and this is at time n, so 0 comma n. So the accumulation factor goes from first time to the second time. That is how we write the accumulation factor. Okay. So for simple interest, accumulation factor would be 1 plus I into n. For compound interest, it would be 1 plus I raised to n. Is that clear? So here I am saying that the rate of interest is 9% per annum compound. Okay. So bank offers 9% per annum compound interest. Find the accumulation factor for 2 years, 3 years and 5 years. We'll say A 0, 2. This will be the accumulation factor for 2 years. We are assuming that we are going from time 0. So the accumulation factor would be 1 plus I raised to 2. 1.09 raised to 2, yes, so that is 1.1881. You can just square them, right? 1.09 square, okay. Then accumulation 0, 3, which is 1 plus I cube, 1.09 cube. You can find that. Point 295 0, 5. So in 2 years, my money will become 1.18 times what I had invested. In 3 years, it will become 1.295 times what I had invested. And in 5 years, it will become 1.5386 times what I had invested. Here again, I'm not worried about the amount that I had invested. Just talking about how much will it become. Let's say if I had invested 1 rupee. Okay. If I had invested 1 rupee, then it would have become 1.1881 after 2 years. Then 1.295 after 3 years and 1.5386 times after 5 years. This is what accumulation factor means. The amount of investment does not matter. We are just finding how much will it be in terms of per 1 rupee invested. We'll just open the book and we'll solve a sum out of it. Okay, this is the question on page number 9, chapter 4. Okay, so they don't write question numbers, so what I prefer is write the page number. So we are solving chapter 4. This is page 9 question. Okay, this is how I mentioned the question. So they are saying 4,600 is invested at time 0 and the proceeds at time 10 are 8,200. Calculate A 7, 10 if these values are given. Okay. So first of all, future value at time 10 is given as 8,200 and present value is given as 4,600. Okay. The other things what I'll do is I'll make a timeline and I will just mark what are the values given. I'll not write down the values, but I'll just mark the values given on the timeline. You don't need to be accurate in terms of the the distance and stuff. You don't have to be accurate for it, just approximately. Okay, these are all the times that we will require. You can see they have given us 0 to 9. This is one of the accumulation given. Then 2 to 4. I'll just mark all of the accumulations they have given us. Then 2 to 7. 4 to 9. Okay. And they have asked us 7 to 10. This is what they have asked us. Okay. This is what they have asked us. Now the first thing is from the first statement. From the first statement we can actually find 0 to 10 as well. We can find the accumulation 0 to 10. How do we find that? We'll say future value at time 10 will be present value into accumulation 0 to 10. Right. So 8,200, 4,600 into accumulation 0 to 10. Now, if you observe here, we have no idea whether it is simple interest or compound interest, whether we have the same rate of interest for all of 10 years or whether we have different rates of interest in between. There's nothing mentioned and we don't even need that information. Okay. So accumulation 0 to 10 8,200 divided by 4,600. So it is 1.78261. Okay. If you want, you can write it in what do we say, decimals or in fractions. So I think I talked about it yesterday that you can use this SD button to convert from decimal into fractions. So you can write 41 by 23 as well, no problem. Now if you are writing it in fraction in decimals like I am writing, so we say that you should use at least 6 significant numbers for calculation purposes. When I say 6 significant numbers, what does significant numbers mean? So if I have a number like this, then I'll say the significant numbers are only 4 here, that is 1, 2, 0 and 4. The zeros before or zeros after the last number does not make any difference in the value of that number. Okay, so value is represented only by 1, 2, 0 and 4. In this particular case, I have only 4 significant numbers. Similarly, if I have 1, 2, 0, 4, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. How many ever zeros I have, it does not change the value. It just changes the scale of that number, right? So this can be written as 1204 into 10 raised to minus 4, and this can be written as 10 raised to minus 10 raised to plus 9. So this 10 raised to does not count in the significant numbers. So only 4 significant numbers in both of these cases. And for calculation purposes, we will need at least 6 significant numbers. You can see I have written 6 significant numbers here. So we'll need at least 6 significant numbers for calculation purposes, and we'll write answers in at least 4 significant numbers. So if I choose this, I have only 2 significant numbers here, 4 and 6. The zeros at the end would not count. If I have an answer like this, then it's fine, no problem. If I don't have more significant numbers, then it's fine. But here, I had a lot of significant numbers. I will choose any 6 of them, right? 6 for calculation purposes. And for answers, final answer, I will have 4 significant numbers. So now I have 0 comma 10 as well. Okay. Now I want to find 7 to 10. Okay. Now we are going to use a concept called principle of consistency. Okay, I'll talk about principle of consistency in a minute, but okay, let's talk about first principle of consistency. Principle of consistency. Now, I talked about this, that um, you know the compound interest is consistent. We talked about that yesterday. What does that actually mean? This principle of consistency is going to explain us what does that actually mean. Mm. So the principle of consistency says that the returns earned by investing same amount at the same time period should be same irrespective of the path of investment. Okay. Now we are assuming that we are investing at the same rates of interest. The rates of interest are not going to differ. Like I was saying previously that a bank is offering a simple interest and a compound interest. Now we'll invest in both. We are not talking about those two different paths. Okay, we'll talk about that also, why we will have only one single way of investing. Okay, so we are saying that the rates of interest is exactly same, but the path is different. That means whether I invest directly in 5 years or whether I invest first in 2 years and then another 3 years. Okay, if something like that happens, whether I invest from time 0 to time 5 directly, or first I invest for time 2 and then for another 3 years, or I invest like this directly, this we'll call it as different paths. Okay, or if I had, let's say, invested for 1 year, then another 1 year, and then invested for 3 years, that is a different path. Irrespective of the path taken, the returns earned should be exactly same. Okay, so here let's say I have time 0, time 1, time 2 and so on till time n. So I'll say accumulation factor from time 0 to time n will be same as going from 0 to 1 and then going from 1 to n. It will be same as going from 0 to 2 and then going from 2 to n. Remember, accumulation factors will always get multiplied or divided, will never be added or subtracted. Okay. This will be same as going from 0 to 1, then going from 1 to 2, and then going from 2 to n. It does not matter which path you choose. Okay, whether you go directly from 0 to n, or you go from 0 to 1 and then 1 to n, or you go from 0 to 1 then 1 to 2 and then 2 to n. It will not matter which path do you choose, your investment returns should be exactly same. Now, why are we assuming that the interest rates will not differ at the same time? That means I am saying from time 0 to time 2, let's say I had 5% interest, and then from time 2 to time n, I have 7%. So I have different rates of interest, but at different times. Okay, I will not have 0 to 2 option of 5% and 6% and 7%. No, we have only one option for that time. Now, why would we have only one option at one given point in time? Can anybody tell me? In real life, we see multiple options. In real life, you will find that SBI is offering you, let's say, 5%. So HDFC will offer you maybe 5.25%. ICICI will offer you maybe 5.5%, right? In real life, you may find different options of investment, but we'll say that whenever we are considering, at least at the beginning, later on we'll consider multiple options, but at the beginning we'll say we have only one option. Why? Because we are not considering risk factor. Okay, we'll say there is no risk. If there is no risk involved, then if you have these three options, which one would you choose? If you have an option of 5%, if you have an option of 5.25%, and if you have an option of 5.5% returns, which one would you choose? You will always choose 5.5%, right? ICICI. The reason is you are getting the highest returns. Who wants less returns, right? Nobody wants less returns. Everybody wants more returns. But in real life, there will be people who will choose SBI. There will be people who will choose HDFC. The main reason is less risk. Main reason people will say SBI is sort of a government entity, at least supported by the government, has the least amount of risk. So I will choose SBI because of that. Somebody might choose HDFC just because it is more convenient. I have a bank branch below my house. So it's very much convenient for me to choose HDFC because it's easy. Somebody might choose ICICI because their company has a tie-up with ICICI. So every salary account goes into ICICI. So I will choose that. So there might be many reasons why you might choose a different option irrespective of how much returns are you getting. Right? And maybe it might be that everybody was offering 5% and that is why I chose one of these banks, and later on they changed the rate of interest. So I would not change the bank just because they are offering slightly different rate of interest. So there are many reasons. There is convenience, there is risk factor, there is other reasons why you might choose a particular bank which is giving you less returns. But in CM1 in financial mathematics, we are going to assume that none of these reasons are present. There is no risk factor, there is no convenience factor, nothing else. So if nothing else matters, so the only thing that will matter is how much returns are we getting. And we will always choose the one that will give us the maximum returns. As simple as that. So if everybody is going to choose the maximum returns, then there is no other option. There is only one option present. Right. So now we have decided there is only one option or one best option for any given time period. It may keep on changing, as I said, from 0 to 2, it might be 5.5%, and then from 2 to 5 it might be 7.2%, and then 5 to 10 it might be 8.9%. This may happen, but for a given time period we are saying there is only one option. Now I can choose to directly invest from 0 to 10, or I can choose first investing 0 to 2, then reinvesting from 2 to 5, and then reinvesting from 5 to 10. Any of these options should give me the same returns. That is called as principle of consistency. Okay, that is called as principle of consistency. Now let's go to this question. Principle of consistency. Right. We have got accumulation for factor for 10 years. Okay. Now, if you see what are the options given now, if I want to find 7 to 10, I can say accumulation factor 0 to 10 will give me 0 to 7 and then 7 to 10. Right. I can invest from 0 to 7, then reinvest from 7 to 10. It is same as 0 to 10. I already have 0 to 10, but I don't have 0 to 7 directly. I can split 0 to 7 again. Let's say 0 to 2, 2 to 4, or actually 2 to 7. Directly I have 2 to 7. I can split in these three. It will be the same thing. This will be equal to 0 to 2, 2 to 7, and then 7 to 10. So I have 0 to 10. I want 7 to 10. I have 2 to 7. I need this accumulation factor from 0 to 2. So I'll use another combination to find this 0 to 2. If you look at this diagram, 0 to 9, 2 to 4, and then 4 to 9 is given. I can use that to calculate 0 to 2. So 0 to 9 would be 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 9. All the accumulation factors always get multiplied or divided, right? So if I want 0 to 2, it would be 0 to 9 upon 2 to 4, 4 to 9. Now let's just take those values. Now I will use this to find 7 to 10. We had we need 0 to 2 and 2 to 7. So we have used here principle of consistency. Any problem? Any doubt? So you understand what principle of consistency is? Irrespective of the path we choose of investment, the returns earned must be the same. In real life, that does not happen. Okay. The reason it does not happen is because there is uncertainty and risk involved. But while we are studying financial mathematics, we'll assume there is no risk involved, there is no uncertainty, everything is known to us. So if everything is known to us, if I say, make up a question, if I say that 5% per annum and 7% per annum is given interest at this time, what is the rate of interest from 0 to 7? Okay, so I'll say all of these are compound. So from time 0 to 5, I1 is 5%, time 5 to 7, I2 is 7%, zero to 7, we are supposed to find this I3. What is this I3? So to find this, we are simply going to say accumulation going from 0 to 7 is accumulation 0 to 5 into accumulation 0 to 7. So that is 1 plus I3, because we are talking about compound interest raised to 7, because we are going for 7 years. Okay, I wrote here 0 to 7. No, it will be 5 to 7. Please correct that. Okay, 5 to 7 will be equal to 1 plus I1 raised to 5, because this is going for 5 years. And then 1 plus I2 raised to 2, because 5 to 7 we have only 2 years. So raised to 7 on the other side it will become raised to 1 by 7. Now whenever I have already, see, rather than writing this 1.461215 again, I can use it for the next calculation as answer. So you have an answer button down here, you can see besides equal to. If I press that, it will take into account the previous answer, just previous answer that we have. Okay, raised to 1 divided by 7, 1 by 7, okay, equal to. So it has used the previous answer. Okay. So I3 will just be 0.05568, but we will prefer to write it in percentage form. So it will be 5.568%. So it is 5.568%. Okay. So the rates of interest, we will always prefer to write it in percentage form. Any problem here? So you understand principles of consistency. Write another question for simple interest. So can you solve this? So even for simple interest, we'll say accumulation from 0 to 10 must be accumulation from 0 to 4 into accumulation from 4 to 10. Do not write plus. Okay, do not write plus. We will have multiplication. So we'll have 1 plus I1 into number of years. We'll have 4 years. Then 1 plus I2 into number of years. In this case, it is 6. This would be 1 plus I3 into 10. Now to get I3, I will subtract 1 and then divide by 10. So minus 1 and then divide by 10. You can see every time it is using answer, it is automatically using answer. If I write minus, it assumes I am saying answer minus whatever. If I write division, it is assuming it is answer divided by 10. It will always use the previous value to give me the next value. Okay. So it is going to be 0.08496, that is 8.496% per annum. That becomes the simple interest I3. Any problem here? Now, because compound interest is consistent, if I go from 0 to 2, then 2 to 5 and 5 to 7, it will give me exactly the same answer as this. Okay, exactly the same answer as this. But simple interest is not consistent. Okay. Simple interest is not consistent. So in this case, when I am going from 0 to 4, then 4 to 10, okay, with these rates of interest, okay, 9%, 6%, and from 0 to 10, I have 8.496%. So if I go from 0 to 2, then 2 to 4, and then let's say 4 to 8, and then 8 to 10, I will get a different answer than this. Okay. So for simple interest, principle of consistency will work for only one path at a time. It will not work on all possible paths. But for compound interest, principle of consistency will work for all possible paths. Okay. And that is why compound interest is used for every type of calculations later on, because it is consistent, right? That's the reason. We do not have different rates. Okay, so Rushil, you're asking then how does it work? So how does it work is we will assume that we invested from time 0 to time 4. We got the returns and then we reinvested the whole thing. That means we reinvested the principal as well as the interest that we got in another account from 4 to 10. Okay, so we took out the money, principal plus interest, and we reinvested the complete amount, that is principal plus interest, into another account. Okay, we are assuming the same thing here as well. We are assuming that we reinvest at time 5. This is what we are assuming. But it does not make a difference in compound interest. It does not make a difference whether we reinvest the whole thing or not, because compound interest already gives us interest on interest. But simple interest does not. So reinvesting matters. Okay. So reinvesting matters, and that is why we have multiplication here. Okay, because we are reinvesting the whole interest and principal. So always remember principle of consistency, irrespective whether we are doing it on simple interest or whether we are doing it on compound interest, will always be multiplied, will never be added. Okay. Now, before we go further, let's talk a little bit about the classes. Now, a few students said that the weekend lectures might not be possible, so we are going to keep the lectures in weekday. Okay, so because weekday evening, because I think most of you would be free by evening, so we will have lectures Wednesday and Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you have problem in that as well, we may change the days or we may change the time slightly up or down. Okay, it's totally up to what everybody would agree on, but we'll definitely have the lectures on weekday. Okay, then one more thing, that if you register today, register means if you pay at least 10% of the fees today, you have discount of 10% on the overall fees. Okay, so the fees is 27,000 whether you are attending online live or whether you are going for what do we say, offline lectures. The fees is 27,000. You'll get a 10% discount, so 2,700 will be discounted if you pay 10% fees today. Okay, that's going to be for the registration, or if you pay the full amount, that is also fine, no problem. Okay, so that's the offer for today, and we will be starting the lectures on Wednesday. Okay, so these were the demo lectures. We will have our regular lectures from Wednesday. We'll continue from this point. I'm not going to teach again the same thing. So by any chance, if you missed, please contact the office and they will send you the video links. Okay, by chance if you have missed these lectures. Okay, and even if you want to revise, we will post these lectures later on in something called as a classroom. So we use Google Classroom for connecting with each other. Okay, we use Google Classroom to connect with the students. We will be providing you with the books, the assignments, tests. We have regular tests, that is chapter wise. After completing all the chapters, I will ask you to solve the assignments, and we'll discuss the assignments, and after that you will have tests of each chapter. So those tests, later on mock tests, all of these things will be shared with you using Google Classroom. Aditya, you're asking online live classes will be there or only videos and offline? No, we will have online live classes. These are the timing for online live classes. Okay. So when will we get access to? So as soon as you pay the fees or register, okay, so we will be adding you to the Google Classroom. Most likely before Wednesday, we'll definitely make the Google Classroom, and it will be shared with you through the email. So you will get an email invite, okay, after you pay the fees. Okay, so we will share this books, assignments, tests, everything through Google Classroom. Okay, so you will have soft copy of all of the material, and you can download it, you can print it out. Especially for assignment, I do prefer that you have printed assignments, so that while you're solving, you're not sitting in front of computer all the time. But we don't use books a lot, so I would prefer, and book is around 1,000 pages, so it's better if you keep the books online. Okay, so whenever you want to refer, you can refer it on your mobile, or if you refer it on your computer, that's fine. So your exam, we have two parts. We have part A and part B. Okay, both of them are 100 marks each. Okay, this is of 3 hours and 20 minutes. This is for 1 hour and 50 minutes. Okay, you should write it properly. It's 1 hour 20 minutes. Okay, this is our written examination. Okay, it is online, so we have to write it in Word. Write in Word. This is Excel examination. So whatever we are going to study in part A, we have to also solve it in part B, that is Excel. So we will learn all the concepts, how to solve it in Excel, and you will have a separate examination for it. Okay. So you will have to write in Word. I will be suggesting you, I will be giving you videos how to practice it on Word. Okay, we will be discussing it throughout our course. For recorded sessions also same procedure. Yes, so even for recorded lectures you will get access to everything, this as well as the recorded lectures, through Google Classroom. Okay, so I think recorded lectures might be through another app. You will have to confirm it with Deepak sir, with on the number given below, office number. Recorded lectures is through another app, but the material is through Google Classroom. Okay. So we are talking about your exam. So you have to write your exam in Word, and that includes typing the equations. So we have something called as equation editor in Word, and I'll teach you how to write your equations in Word as well. Okay, but one of the things that I always recommend at the beginning is, from the starting, I'm not expecting you to start writing all the equations in Word, but you will have to practice typing in Word. So every day you should take out 10 minutes and type anything that you like. If you're reading a book, start writing just for 10 minutes. Keep a timer and type for 10 minutes. Okay, or maybe just pick up a newspaper, type the news that you are reading. So whatever you like, just for 10 minutes type, and then record how many words were you able to type in 10 minutes. Okay, it will give you a word count. How many words have you typed in those 10 minutes? Keep a count of that. Keep a track of that, so that you will realize whether you are, how much typing speed you have and how much you will require. So if you keep on doing this for maybe 2 weeks, you will realize how your speed has increased with time. Okay, so one of the most problematic thing, especially for students from here India, what happens is we are not very used to typing in computers. We are slow at typing compared to any student from America or any student from UK, Germany, these kind of countries. They usually type a lot in computers. Okay, so their typing speed is much faster, and we are competing with them. So we have to increase our typing speed. So unless you have been using computers during your studies, which I don't think in our schools we are allowed to, so our typing speed most likely is not very good. Okay, so take out 10 minutes every single day and type in Word. How much studies is needed in the examination? Now see, this is a question, and I always say 5 months of regular study. Okay, 5 months of regular study for CM1. What does regular study means? Regular study means that at least 10 hours per week. Okay, at least 10 hours per week for 5 months. If you do that, then you will not have any problem. Okay, this does not include typing practice because everybody's typing speed will be different. So this does not include that. You will have to spend more time in practicing on Word. This is just studying time. Okay. Okay, sir, my office timing is 9 to 6. It will be easy for me to attend if the timing of live sessions are after 7. Okay. So we can definitely keep 7 to 9. If everybody is okay with it, we can keep 7 to 9. Okay. Okay. So we can have 7 to 9. We can discuss that. The final timing, we will definitely talk about it through, communication. We'll give you message through WhatsApp or something after you have registered. Okay, we can have 7 to 9. If you're okay with it, then it is fine. Otherwise, we can shift to 6 to 9, 6:30 to 8:30, something like that, right? We can do that, no problem. Okay. Which paper is easy, CM1 or CS1? Now see, for your first paper, I always recommend CM1. It is comparatively difficult than CS1, but see, there are different levels of difficulty in both the examination. CM1, if you practice properly, the complications, there is no complication in questions, okay? But there are a lot of questions, so the practice will require, see, the understanding is very easy in CM1, okay, but the practice is lengthy. You have to practice a lot. There will be like 100 types of questions, so you will have to practice all 100 type of questions, maybe 5 different sets of similar questions and stuff, right? Versus CS1 will have only 25 types of question, okay, but the understanding part is comparatively difficult in CS1. The statistics is sometimes confusing, okay, so more or less the difficulty becomes same, right? So I recommend CM1 is because this, as your first paper, is because you understand what kind of work you are going to do later on. So if you are confused whether I don't know whether actuarial science is for me or not, so when you are studying CM1, you are studying life insurance. Later part from chapter 15 to chapter 28, it's going to be life insurance. So you understand how the life insurance world works. What kind of calculations will I be doing? How much mathematics will I be using? These kind of things you will understand. Of course, majority people will be working in life insurance, but you have general insurance, you have investment. Those you will be learning later on. You learn general insurance in CS2. You learn investment in CM2. Okay, but you get an idea about how the insurance world will work in CM1. CS1 is all about basic statistics. Okay, so we don't get an idea about how the insurance world will work. It's just statistics, and I love statistics. I love CS1 a lot. Okay, but sometimes people get confused that how do we apply this in real life. They don't get that idea. Okay, they don't understand how the actuarial world will work with this statistics. In CM1 they get an idea about it. Okay, what is the payment method? You can discuss that in the office. So you can pay through UPI, you can pay through bank transfer, you can if you are in Mumbai, so you can go to the office and pay through cash. It's up to you. Okay, so you can contact the number below. You can contact office and figure it out, okay, which one is best for you. Okay, so actually I have a gap of 4 years and now I am working in shares market field. After clearing CM1, will it be easy for me to enter into the actual field? Yes. See, CM1 is going to be the starting for the financial world. So as we saw, we were starting with simple interest and compound interest. So everything in financial world, what we have, financial mathematics, will be covered in CM1, and then you will go into life insurance. Okay, so if you want to work in life insurance company, CM1 is definitely going to be important for you. If you want to work in investment, next paper CM2 is going to be important for you. Okay, but to understand CM2, you will have to understand CS1 first. Okay, you will have to understand the statistics before we go to CM2. So your path will be going for CM1, CS1, and then CM2. Okay. For understanding actuarial field. So if you want to go into investment, actuarial investment, then this is the path you will take. If you want to go just for life insurance, these are the two papers that are required for life insurance. If you want to go into general insurance, you will require CS2. These are the papers required for general insurance. Okay. Registration. Now see, registration, there are two ways of giving the examination. For IFOA, you can give examination as a non-member. If you are giving the examination as a non-member, you can give either CM1 or CS1, one of these two. Only one examination you can give as a non-member. After that, you have to become a member. Okay, then membership. Okay, now I'm assuming almost everybody of you are what do we say, students. If not, there is an income limit. If your income is less than 8,250 pounds, okay, 8,250 pounds, and it is your income, not your parents' income, your income. Okay, right now the conversion rate is around 100, so you can assume it is 8 lakh. Okay, so if your income is less than 8.25 lakh rupees, then you are eligible for per annum. So you will be eligible for reduced rates. Okay, so I will be talking about fees in terms of reduced rates. Okay, so the membership fees is 135 pounds. Okay, 135 pounds is the membership fees that you have to pay once. Again, conversion rate is around 100, so you can just multiply two zeros. You can just add two zeros to convert it into rupees. Okay, so this is once, you have to pay this once, and then you have an annual fees. That is 75 pounds every October. So every October you have to pay this annual fees, irrespective of when you took the membership. If I took the membership on 31st September, even then I will have to pay this annual fees on 1st October. Okay. Actually September has only 30 days, right? So 30th September, even then I will have to pay this annual fees on 1st October. And if I take membership on 2nd October, I'll have to pay this annual fees next October. Okay, so you can decide when to take the membership. So I always recommend that when you're giving examination in September, if you're giving only one examination, then give it as a non-member. Okay, and then register. Your result is going to come 2 months after your examination. So the result will be in November or December. Okay, so what happens is, after that you will have to take the membership. So then you pay the fees directly next October, right? So the order of the examination. So order of the examination, you can give first CM1 or CS1. This is your first and second paper. Whichever you give first, the second would be the other. Then comes CM2 or CS2. Again, whichever you give third, the other would be the fourth. Then you have CB1 and CB2 can be given at any point in time. There is no relation to these papers. CB1 is finance, accounting and finance, and CB2 is economics. Okay, you get a very good understanding of financial world and economical world, but it is not related to these papers. Okay, so you can give at any time. What happens is sometimes during your studies, you know that a particular semester is going to be very difficult. You will not have a lot of time to study. Then you can go for CB1 or CB2. Okay. Or sometimes you have more time, you want to give multiple papers. I like with CM2, you are confident that I have studied investment before. I know what is Black-Scholes model, what is binomial model, and all of those things, and I can I've studied these things investment before, so I can give multiple papers. So with CM2 you can give, let's say, CB1 together. You can give multiple papers at one time. So Ria, you're asking, I recently appeared for CS1. When should I take the membership if I want to appear in September for CM1? So see, that last date is always mentioned. It is not, I don't think right now it is mentioned. Let me just search. See, I think the last date will be somewhere in July. Okay, but I'll just show you where the last date would be written. So this is student membership. Join. See, here they said for April 24 examination sitting, you have to apply before January 15. They have not mentioned the date for the September, but this is the place where you will find this. All I did was search for IFOA membership. Okay, just search for IFOA membership. This is the link, IFOA membership, and at the end this is where you find that information. Okay. So you are asking what about CB3? CB3 is a practical style paper. Okay, so you should always give it at the end. CB3 is a business related paper. The reason I am saying give it at the end because the fees is very high. Okay, so compared to the others, the fees is much higher for CB3, and you don't have to actually study for it. So especially when you get a job, it's easier to give CB3. How much do you want? See, fee structure, again, you can easily search. I'll just show you the fee structure and how to understand it. See, all you have to do is search IFOA exam fees. Okay, search IFOA exam fees, exam and other fees. There is this is the PDF where exam and other fees are given. Okay, so now if you see, there are two types of fees that would be given. Okay, so this is full rates. These are the full rates and this is the reduced rates. So I talked about who are eligible for reduced rates, right? Their annual income is going to be less than okay, somewhere it is written somewhere, but it is annual fees should be less than 8,250 pounds. Okay, so it's 8.25 lakh rupees. Okay, if your annual income, not your parents, okay, your annual income is less than that, so you are eligible for reduced rates. Okay, so CM1, CM2, CS1, CS2, the fees is 200 pounds. Okay, Then CB1 and 2, you can see it is 150. Then CB3 you can see here, online examination reduced rate is 375 pounds. Okay, so compared to the other examination, this is the highest fees. So that is why I was saying that you should go for it at the end. Now when you start working, even your company starts paying for your examination at least once. That means they'll pay only once, but they'll pay for your examination. So these kind of fees which are high, the company would pay. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. Okay, so here you can see other fees as well. Okay, then you have membership. Where is membership? Okay, I think membership fees is given in some other document. It is not given here. So these are the only fees that are important for you. Full rates and reduced rate, depending on whether you are applying for reduced rate or not. Okay. Now as a non-member, as I said, you can give either CM1 or CS1 and the fees will be 220 pounds. Okay, so they charge you 20 pounds extra for non-members. Any other question? Okay. So I think that's it. We'll meet on Wednesday 7 to 9. If that's the final thing, okay, we'll message you accordingly. You can contact the office in the number given below, call or WhatsApp. Okay, and we'll give you all the information. Okay, sure. Let's end the class here. Bye.